Well, vaccinations round the clock. Authorities say this is possible at the proposed mega vaccination site in Nayong Pilipino. Let's get the latest now from testing czar Vince Dizon. Vince, thank you so much for joining us on The Final Word. What is the timetable? When will the construction of this mega vaccination facility at the reclamation area start and finish?
Construction already started, Rico, of the mega vaccination site at the Bagong Nayong Pilipino. We expect this to finish in maybe a little over a month to 2 months. No, it will be a site that can vaccinate up to upwards of 10,000 per day, according to the ICTSI Foundation, Bloomberry Foundation, and the Razon Group, who are behind this very, very important mega vaccination site. So it will contribute a lot in our efforts to ramp up vaccinations as we move into the end of the second quarter and into the third quarter of 2021.
10,000 vaccinations per day.
Per day.
Per day. So,
Per day.
when do you think will these vaccinations begin? Is there already a target date, Secretary Vince?
As soon as the facility is completed, hopefully within a month and a half, then we can begin vaccinating through this center. I think it's important to know, Rico, that based on the successful experiences of other countries, mega vaccination sites that can generate many vaccinations per day, upward of 1,000, 2,000, 5,000, and even 10,000 per day, are really the most efficient ways of ramping up vaccinations. Of course, this is going to be heavily dependent on supply, but as we increase the steady arrival of vaccines, which Secretary Galvez, our vaccine czar, has announced in the past couple of weeks, then we are going to need sites such as the Bagong Nayong Pilipino mega vaccination site to really meet our targets of vaccinating upwards of 50 million people before the end of 2021.
So Secretary Vince, this mega vaccination facility in Nayong Pilipino, will it only use one brand of vaccination, or all the brands that will be available to the government and to the private sector?
This has yet to be determined, Rico. We're going to rely on the expert advice of our vaccine expert panel and our other experts in the private sector who will be helping us here. No? Typically, a site will only use one vaccine just to ensure the integrity of the process. However, if we're talking about a mega site such as this, maybe more than one is possible. But we will wait for the advice of our expert panels before we finalize this.
Of course, this mega vaccination facility at the Nayong Pilipino is being built by the Razon Group, no? And he is bringing in millions of doses of the U.S. vaccine, Moderna. But my question for you is, Secretary Vince, do we really need to build this mega vaccination facility in Nayong Pilipino, which will cost millions of pesos? Why not just use existing facilities around Metro Manila, which are already there, which have already been built up? And you can just basically put in all the other facilities that are needed to vaccinate our kababayans.
We don't have enough facilities, Rico. That's the straight answer to your question. We need facilities such as this. First of all, many of our existing facilities are already being used as quarantine and isolation facilities, which we are still going to need in order to prepare for any possible eventuality of maybe another surge, another increase in cases in Metro Manila. So we are going to have to keep those intact, but at the same time, we have to ramp up our vaccinations per day. And as you mentioned, cost, the government will not pay a single centavo for this. This is a completely a donation, generous donation from the Razon Group.
And Secretary Vince, you know, this afternoon, I brought my 93-year-old father to a vaccination center. And when I went there this afternoon and accompanied him, you could basically count the number of vaccinees with your fingers. There still seems to be not a whole lot of our kababayans who are excited about getting vaccinated.
you know, vaccine hesitancy is a challenge we have to face, Rico. No? However, what we need to do now, and this is something that Secretary Galvez has already announced and the President has already approved, is we have to open up vaccinations already to a broader segment of our population. If you recall, right now our vaccinations are still limited to the health frontliners and the vulnerable sectors of the population, namely our senior citizens and those with comorbidities. However, as announced by Secretary Galvez in the previous weeks and as approved by the President, we are already in preparations to open up our vaccination to the broader population, beginning with essential economic workers.
Right.
And
Yes.
even and also essential workers in government.
So, Secretary, being the testing czar, no, and building this huge mega vaccination facility at the Nayong Pilipino, will it also include testing? Because everyone is talking about testing. Will you also include testing facilities in this facility?
No. This is a purely vaccination facility. We already have existing swabbing facilities in Mall of Asia, in other places all over the metropolis. But what we need to build now is more facilities to vaccinate our people, especially when we start opening up to the broader base of our population, beginning with our essential economic workers, and later on moving into the indigent population, and later moving into the general population.
Secretary Vince Dizon, the country's testing czar, thank you so much for joining us on The Final Word.